Hey crew, join me as I install the best upgrade for a two-wheel drive Traxxas Slash, hands down. Let's do a little comparison here. So this is the LCG chassis. You can see how it's sky high. It can fit a monster truck tire underneath it. Total head clearance. Now this would be good if you're bashing, but as of late, I'm running mine on a track more than usual, so I'm looking to increase stability, and this is the #1 way to do so. You can see how significantly lower that chassis is. Doesn't fit it now fits underneath. 5830 is the number. Does come with other accessories. I'm not going to waste your time. We're just going to install them as the time comes. Beautiful. All right, we got work to do. Let's get rolling here. #1, let's disconnect the motor and pull those motor leads to the rear of the car, because that is what we're going to install first. We got 2 screws on top, and we have 8 on the bottom. Now keep in mind, the lowermost portion on this skid plate are all countersunk screws. So having said that, this skid plate is no longer going to be used, but I always put my screws back where I got them, just to make things simple, stupid here. That's it. That's all that disconnects the rear of that car. So we're going to throw it right onto the new chassis. Again, those 2 screws up top, and then 8 to the bottom. These are all countersunk, just to ensure that you have the right ones. So these 2 that attach on the underside of the car, plus the skid plate altogether, does not get used. Turf City. That's the rear of the car. I do have a clutch on my cordless screwdriver. Don't beat up these screws too badly. Finish off by hand. So there's basically 6 screws here to remove the receiver box. We want to remove it fully. There's the gasket that makes this waterproof. Unplug your cabling and slowly fish them out of this box. There's 2 more screws inside the box to pardon me, to get off the chassis. Yeah, be ginger with these things. Whammo. Okay, 2 more screws to remove the ESC completely. And there's also this little cable stay or something for your motor wires. Up to the front of the car, let's disconnect the servo. That's me putting my screws back where they came from. And we're going to remove the servo itself. Notice my servo saver is at 12 o'clock. And then also these screws for the servo are unique. They have a large head on them. So the front skid plate here gets replaced by the one in the kit. The rear is omitted completely, but the front is replaced. Before we do that, we need to get rid of our bumper. Crew, feel free to use that pause button. I know we're moving quickly, but I didn't want to make a very long video. If you have excess dirt stuck in your screws like I do, get something pointy to clean them out, or else, there you go, put the screws back there, or else your hex won't get the screws out. The bell crank. Okay, pay attention here. So these long screws, turf them. They get replaced by 2 in the kit. And very important, we have washers, smaller washers on the top side of the bell crank. And I had quite a bit of dirt in here. You're going to pry these off. And there's also washers underneath the posts of the bell crank. So gently pull them off, and then right away just grab the other front skid plate, the one without the dirt, and just simply install the bell crank at this point. Don't forget the small washers on the top side. Note, if you have bushings in your bell crank, this is a great time to go to your local hobby shop and grab steel ball bearings. Absolutely. So once you screw that in, remember 2 large washers on the bottom, 2 smaller ones up top, and once that's snugged down, ensure there's no binding. You're going to want to ensure that before we get going. All right, now we can mount the servo. So there are 2 mounting positions. There are instructions, and if you're using the servo saver like I am, again, note that it's at 12 o'clock. We are going to install it, if you're using a servo saver, in the uppermost position compared to using a servo horn, because it's much longer in length, so then therefore you would mount that lower. So also we have to adjust the length of the steering link. Instructions clarify that 47 millimeters is that sweet spot. You may need to adjust a little bit, depending how truly to 12 o'clock you can get with your servo saver. Now you can put that together. You're going to want to do that before we actually fasten it to the chassis. So there's 5 screws here. Prior to doing that, you want to snugly pull the servo cable up through the bottom of the chassis, because as you attach like so, you don't want to pinch that cable. So there's 3 screws. 2 were existing. 1 is that shiny black one that comes in the kit. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 larger cap head screws that are going to secure the front skid plate and components to the chassis itself. You'll notice that it kind of clicks into place. The 2 top posts of the bell crank, they kind of fall inside of a recess, and it seems to fit naturally. Now here's the battery stop. Those 2 screws removed from the old chassis. Not to mention, all the battery components that they give you in the kit are identical. So I'm just going to put the old ones on. Now we can install the receiver. Very easy. 2 screws, receiver box rather. And now prior to installing the ESC, you're going to want to fish the cabling across the base of the chassis, because it falls, there's a little trench or a little trough there, you'll notice. We want to get it into the receiver box. Mint. Okay, sweet. So now we can pull the motor wires through and connect color to color. Dude, we are killing it, man. We're making it look easy today. Now that little clip for the motor wires, I had a hard time actually connecting it. I think maybe I just need to rotate my motor forward to gain a little length on my motor wires. Hopefully you had better luck than I did. So 1 to turn, 2 to burn. Steering servo goes to channel 1. ESC goes to channel 2. But keep in mind, a lot of the Traxxas receivers have 2 channel 1s. And then not to mention, when you're plugging those in, they're very much so polarity sensitive. So just so the battery doesn't chafe my cabling, I put a little Gorilla Tape on there and then reassemble the receiver box. If you are running in wet conditions, not to ever forget that gasket. Mint. This is looking sweet. Okay, we put the battery tray assembly together. Okay, so now with the side guards from the old chassis do not fit, but you will need to grab the screws from the old chassis to install those. Now we can reinstall the bumper, and son of a gun, I missed 1 screw there. That's why I got in slow-mo there for a moment. I do install it after, but unfortunately I don't have any footage of that. 4 countersunks. So the kit also comes with new springs. If I read correctly, they're the same spring rate, but they are a little shorter in length. So simply pull the spring back and that perch will slide out where the slot is to slide over the shaft. And then very simply, the spring can now be removed and replaced with the other one. Same thing, line up the slot and let the that perch fall into place on the bottom of the shock rod end and just reattach it. Almost there, guys. I got a quick second. If you guys are liking the video, please hit subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. By the way, this is my first install video on my new RC table. You see the jazzy lights going on? Hope you like it. I know many people are going to miss the Lego table that I had in the past. And that is pretty much it. So one key point is that you're going to have to reverse your transmitter. I'm no longer using a Traxxas transmitter, but dollars to donuts, the servo is now backwards, or upside down rather, and you will need to reverse it very simply. And if you're in a situation like I am here, you can see how my servo is at 12 o'clock, but my tires are turned. I now am going to center my tires and remove the servo saver and just put my transmitter at and zero to my trims and reattach in order to straighten my wheels out. Not a big affair. Unfortunately, that 47 mil, it's nice that they give us that dimension, but it's not absolutely true. Actually, it worked out pretty good for me. I had to shorten it to about 44, I would say, if I was to guess. Okay, everybody, if you enjoyed the video, please hit something in the end screen. Appreciate you for being here. And peace out from Philly B. Rock on.